Okay, we're live.
I'd like to call to order the Gateway School District Board of Directors study session meeting Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. So please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. Okay, I'd like to announce that we were in executive up till about quarter to 8 tonight, discussing litigation, personnel, and what else we discussed? That's about it. Contract negotiation, thank you. All righty. Ms. Isha, whenever you're ready for a roll call, please.
Yes. Mrs. Cerrucci.
Here.
Mrs. Delaney.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Gottman.
Here.
Mr. McIntyre.
Here.
Mrs. Mungo.
Here.
Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Mrs. Warning. And Mr. Williams.
Here.
All righty, thank you. Just really quick, I want to say it's really nice to not only be back after being gone for a month, having to do it remotely, but also to finally be able to have our community and see them personally. Hi, George. Okay, so we're going to start with comments from residents on agenda items. Anybody in the room here? Okay.
If we could just get you, we have a microphone.
Sure, yeah.
Come down here and speak into this microphone. I'll bring it around for you.
Please have them state their name.
I don't know, this is tied into this.
Well, hold on, real quick. Can you just state your name and address for record?
My name is Cheryl Boyce, I live in Monroe.
Thank you.
That's right. Okay. I see that you're talking about the summer program. Are you increasing this? About a month. Here's why I came tonight. I really want to see you come up with a plan for these kids as they transition back. And you've got about, what, 60% of them now?
Mm-hmm.
And I know you don't know what the 40% that are still out there are going to do, but let's assume that 30% of them, 20% back. I just talked to a parent yesterday who's trying to make the decision if she's going to hold her child back next year, because this child took such a slide backwards in the last year that it's not funny. So I don't know what parents are going to be able to put their kids in the summer program.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a lot more, you should, than you normally do. But I also want to know, are you going to carry this over into the fall, creating a program with more staff and more people that, can you not hear me?
We can, it's just a concern of whether or not the
Okay.
audience at home
You know,
can.
I taught preschoolers, you want to hear me real good? Yeah, I just talking to this mom and talking to so many other moms and seeing it myself personally, working with my granddaughter. I mean, and looking at the research, the biggest priority has got to be come up with a program falling into the fall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's why I came tonight, because whatever you do, wherever you put your resources and money, that's got to be a priority, because all the research is indicating this is going to be a long-term issue for a very, very long time. You're not going to get these kids back on track in the next 6 months. It's not going to happen.
No, it is critical that, and we have been planning. We have a presentation next Tuesday night
Really?
that will disclose the summer program, but also indicate to our families how the fall will look when we return. The options available, the research, it's very clear that coming out of this pandemic, students can, some of them, depending upon the resources they have available or what they've been dealt with at home, could be a year and a half behind their classmates in terms of cognitive functioning and skill level and everything associated with the slide. So yes, we are prepared to do that. We have a very symptomatic process. systematic process in place that has allowed for our students to be diagnostically assessed, see where they're at as they're coming into a specific grade level, and then remediation. I can't talk with these things. Remediation is so critical and important that we must be able to find that additional time to catch the student up. So all of that will be covered.
Okay, that's going to be covered next Tuesday.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and you're going to explain, are you going to do anything beyond the scope of just having people like tutors, paraprofessionals in the classroom? Like, are you going to have?
Yes.
I envision behavior problems.
You know, the social emotional needs of children coming back. I oftentimes reference my child, who probably doesn't like me to do that. But the fact that, you know, not being in front of that classroom for an extended period of time, waking up at 6:30, 7 o'clock, again, is different for many students who have been entrenched in that learning environment for a year and a half. We want them to come back to be face-to-face, eyeball-to-eyeball instruction. And we know that there will be social emotional needs, thus with staffing that can be put in place through the Sbss fund to address that.
Okay, okay, great. I'm glad I came.
Yep.
So we will be here next week.
Absolutely.
What you have to say.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Ms. Isha, do you have anybody on your end on comments for agenda items?
No, I have no Q&A, and no emails.
Okay, we'll check back throughout the night with that. We're gonna move on to section B, bills and financial reports. So Mr. Schott.
Thank you, Mr. Gottman. Section B, financial reports. Section B1, list of bills for the month of April 2021. Section B2, monthly financial statements for the month of March 2021. And Section B3, budget transfers for the month of April 2021. We present all these reports this evening for the board's review.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schott.
You're welcome.
Any questions or comments? Okay, we don't have anything for section C, so we're gonna move on to section D. And tonight we have both an action item and items for discussion. So we'll start with our action item. Mrs. Cronk.
Thank you, Mr. Gottman. Resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors accepts and approves the personnel agenda items 1 and 2, we are adding 1, as listed in section D of the study session meeting for Tuesday, April 20th. The first motion is a creation of an early retirement incentive program. The initials for that is called an ERIP. Due to the projected financial constraints facing the district in the 2021-2022 school year, the Gateway Board of School Directors desires to create and authorize an early retirement incentive program for those qualifying professional certified employees and all other qualifying bargaining unit members at the conclusion of the 2021 school year. This ERIP was created and will be approved outside of any collective bargaining agreement and is only applicable to those employees meeting the district's determined minimum qualifications by June 30th, 2021. It is understood by all parties that this ERIP was offered on a non-precedent setting basis, and any future ERIPs outside of the 2021 school year will be at the discretion of the board. The resolution is fourth, that the Gateway Board of School Directors approves an early retirement incentive program for qualifying professional certificated employees and all other qualifying bargaining unit members at the conclusion of the 2021 school year. This is only available to those employees who meet the following qualifications. They must be at least 55 years of age or have at least 25 years of credited service in the Pennsylvania School Employee Retirement System and have worked as an employee with the Gateway School District for a minimum of 10 years and must be vested to receive a pension. Qualifying employees must submit an irrevocable letter of retirement to our office by 4 p.m. this Friday. The ERIP will provide the following benefits. If it's a tiered structured event, so if 1 through 5 qualifying employees opt to retire, the Gateway School District shall make a non-elective employer contribution into a health reimbursement account, which will be established by the district with Sbss as the approved provider in the amount equal to $20,000 each. If 6 through 10 qualifying employees opt to retire, the Gateway School District shall make a non-elective employee contribution into the health reimbursement account established by the district as the approved provider in the amount equal to $47,000 each. And finally, if 11 or more qualified employees opt to retire, the Gateway School District shall make a non-elective employer contribution into the health reimbursement account in the amount of $57,000. The employee shall receive no cash option. Everything will be established through the health reimbursement account. It's also understood and agreed that any other retirement benefits depicted in section 18.1 and 18.2 of the collective bargaining agreement current between the Gateway Board of School Directors and the associated memberships will be applicable. We also want to add an additional motion. We want to take number 8 from the study session, which is titled Summer Program Rate Increase, which is to authorize and approve the rate of pay for the 2021 summer programs. We are asking that all certified teachers who are approved to provide instruction and tutoring for the early literacy program, extended school year, and summer enrichment learning programs be paid at a rate of $35 per hour for the 2021 summer programs. Paraprofessionals and classroom assistants who are approved to provide support for the summer programs to be paid at $20 per hour for the 2021 summer programs.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. McIntyre, second by Mr. Williams. Do we have any questions or comments on the first item for section D as well as number 8 from the study session part?
Hey, Trish, this is John Raiders. The reason that you're moving item 8 into action is because we really have quite a shortage of teachers right now. We need to just jump on that as quickly as we can.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, Ms. Ishak, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mrs. Delaney,
Aye.
Mr. Gallagher,
Aye.
Mr. Gottman,
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre, Mrs. Mungo,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Mrs. Warning, Mr. Williams,
Aye.
and Mrs. Cerrucci.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Then for the personnel agenda items for the next meeting, we have under retirements 4 listed. We would like to congratulate Judy Felton. She is one of our paraprofessionals who's been with the district for 29 years. Mildred Whitfield has been with the district as a paraprofessional for 26 years. Sherry Harris is a secretary at the high school, and she will be leaving us with 24 years. And Mr. Paul Hoffman, our PIMS coordinator, who has served 8 years with the district, will all be retiring at the end of this year. And we'd like to wish them well and thank them for their years of service to the district. Under resignations, we have 2 listed. Under leave of absence, we have 9 requests. We have 1 transfer per the collective bargaining agreement. Under section 5, we are recommending 2 custodians and 3 paraprofessionals. Under section C for the early literacy program, we are approving 1 additional teacher, Michael Baird. Again, this will now change to $35 per hour, along with anyone who's been previously approved will be paid for the $35 per hour. Under the COVID compensatory paraprofessionals, we're adding 1 additional person at $20 per hour. Extended school year teachers, approve the following as extended school year teachers at a rate of $35. Currently, we have 8 listed. And then under paraprofessionals, you can see we have quite a few of those listed who will also be paid at the new rate of $20 per hour. Under supplemental contracts, we have 1. Volunteers, 1. And section 8, we have already voted on.
All righty. Thank you, Mrs. Crum. Do we have any questions or comments on section D, study session items? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna move on to section F, the administrative report. Dr. Short?
Thank you, Mr. Gottman. Elementary education, Dr. Rossi.
Item number 1 is final approval of the English language arts resource, My Perspectives, that was placed on display March 16. Item number 2 is approve the following resources for display as listed.
Item number 3, the summer learning program, approval of the creation of a summer learning program for students of the Gateway School District. Item number 4, affiliation agreements with IUP, Robert Morris University. Item number 5, local education. agency letter of agreement, children and youth experiencing homelessness. Item number 6, service agreements with UPMC and AOT Inc., Specialized Education Therapy Services.
Item number 7, approve the renewal and administrative fee payment in the amount of $21,489.14 for the current Better Unemployment Compensation Comprehensive Program offered directly by the Pennsylvania School Boards Association for stop loss insurance protection if annual unemployment insurance claims reach the maximum claim stop loss point of $124,574.73 during the upcoming 2021-22 fiscal year as depicted in Exhibit E. Item number 8, approve the extension of the current agreement with Adelphi Education, Inc. for behavioral support and emotional support educational services to be provided at the various applicable daily rates for regular education and special education students as indicated in the agreement tuition schedule during the 21-22 fiscal year as depicted in Exhibit F. Item number 9, approve the services of BIPCO to perform the various flower bed maintenance services required for the 2021 season as per the itemization of services and corresponding fees in the total amount of $17,075 as depicted in Exhibit G. Note the above services were budgeted for in the current 2021 and the subsequent 21-22 fiscal year general fund budgets that span the entire 2021 calendar year. Item number 10, approve the Tricog Land Bank's notice of intent to acquire one Monroeville property located within the Gateway School District and the waiver of all applicable taxes, tax claims, and municipal claims due against the property as depicted in Exhibit H. Note the district is a member of the Tricog Land Bank. The above approval represents further property acquisitions by the Tricog Land Bank within the Gateway School District. Item number 11, approve the extension of the current agreement with the Allegheny County Department of Human Services for the reimbursement of expenditures incurred by the district for the applicable transportation of foster care children during the 21-22 fiscal year. Note, the above extension of the current agreement requires various documents to be completed and submitted by the district to the Allegheny County Department of Human Services prior to the issuance of the formal agreement for signature by the superintendent. Item number 12, award the prime contract bids for the Gateway Middle School renovation project to the following contractors and the following bid amounts for construction to occur and to be completed during the 21-22 and 22-23 fiscal years. Please note, as is depicted in this exhibit, to be determined after bid opening or TBD, the above awarded contractor names and corresponding bid amounts will be added to the agenda after the conclusion of the bid opening, the bid evaluation process, and the bid tabulation process scheduled to occur on Thursday, this Thursday, April 22nd, 2021 at 11 a.m. The above bids are in addition to the other professional service contracts previously approved by the board for the project, as well as other required expenditures for the project to arrive at the estimated grand total costs for the project. The estimated grand total project cost and the corresponding itemization of expenditures will be provided and made a part of this resolution as an exhibit subsequent to the bid opening on Thursday. Item number 13, approve the formal issuance of the new general obligation bonds to be known as a series of 2021 general obligation bonds in order to receive net proceeds in the total amount of, again, to be determined through the efforts of the district's business manager, bond underwriter, solicitor, and bond counsel. These net bond proceeds will be utilized to pay for the Gateway Middle School renovation project and several other capital repair and improvement projects throughout the district. Note, the formal action to incur the new bond debt was previously approved by the board during the February 16th, 2021 regular board meeting when the board parameter amount of $50 million was established as the maximum amount of the new bonds to be issued by the district. This resolution is being utilized to formally indicate the required actual net proceeds amount that will result from the issuance of the new bonds required to pay for the various capital repair and improvement projects. Item number 14, approve the temporary school configuration change consisting of a change in the grade structure for the Gateway Middle School and the Mosside Middle School for the 21-22 and the 22-23 fiscal years, and approve the compilation and submission of all required documentation to the Pennsylvania Department of Education in order to approve the configuration change in accordance with 22 PA Code subsection 4.41C. Note, due to a total building renovation and addition project scheduled to be performed at the Gateway Middle School. The 7th and 8th grade students who would normally attend the Gateway Middle School will be temporarily attending the Mosside Middle School with the 5th and 6th grade students. Upon completion of the renovation and addition project, all the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students will then be attending the newly renovated Gateway Middle School, with the Mosside Middle School being permanently closed by the district for the 23-24 fiscal year. Item number 15, approve 2 payments to the Allegheny County Conservation District in the amounts of $12,600 for a review fee and $500 for a clean water fee, and 1 payment to the PA Clean Water Fund in the amount of $500 for a clean water fee, for a grand total of $13,600 in payments representing the required stormwater associated fees charged for the Gateway Middle School renovation project. Item number 16, approve the extension of the current preventive maintenance service agreement for the 2 high school weight rooms with G&G Fitness Equipment, Inc. in the amount of $2,600 for the period of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 as depicted in Exhibit I. Note, the above service fee is less than the amount of the current service fee charged to the district for the 2021 fiscal year due to the 1 weight room at the Gateway Middle School being renovated during the upcoming construction process and not requiring any preventive maintenance service to be performed while the exercise equipment is in storage. Item number 17, approve the district's formal commitments with Shaw Sports Turf and Musco Sports Lighting LLC to hold each of the vendors previously provided per unit pricing amounts to the district for potential capital repair and improvement projects. Note, the above 2 formal vendor commitments do not financially obligate the district to move forward with either one of these applicable vendor purchases. The above formal commitments merely lock in substantially reduced per unit pricing for the district should the district decide to move forward with applicable future capital repair and improvement projects. Additional board action would be required in order to formally proceed with any applicable capital repair and improvement projects associated with both of the above vendors and the committed per unit pricing. The administration will review the various options related to the above commitments being considered during a study session meeting. Specifically, at the conclusion of the last 2 resolutions I'm going to review this evening, we will be putting a short PowerPoint presentation up on the screen, and the administration will be walking everyone through that presentation. Item number 18, approve the advertisement of a request for proposals, or RFP, for a photography vendor to serve as the district's official school photographer for all required students' photography services to be performed during the 21-22 fiscal year. Note, the above RFP is necessary for a district's current school photographer, Elaine Petrakis Photography. As indicated, she will not be exercising her remaining year option for 21-22 fiscal year in her current agreement with the district. The new agreement awarded by the district to a vendor may be for multiple years and not just for the upcoming 21-22 fiscal year based on actual RFP responses from the photography vendors. Item number 19, accept the following district donation received during the 2021 fiscal year, specifically a donation from the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank, a $5,000 check through Jennifer Hoffner, specifically to support the backpack program for all the students and the schools throughout the entire district.
All right, thank you, Mr. Shaw. You can take a breather now.
I will do that, sir. Thank you.
He's still up.
Okay, don't take that much of a breather.
Just a short breather. Okay. As I previously mentioned, and again, this is specifically related to item number 17 of the various commitments, formal commitments. But before we get into talking about some of those items, again, as is depicted on the screen, capital repair and improvement proposed projects. And again, as was stated in the other resolution that we reviewed this evening, and we'll just tie right into that, item number 12, the district will be awaiting bids from the proposed Gateway Middle School renovation project to determine the feasibility of the items we will be discussing this evening. Specifically, these items that we discussed this evening were also discussed during the Buildings and Grounds meeting that was held last Thursday, April 15th. Next slides. And again, I'll start off, Bob. So 2 of the projects being considered specifically are permissible under the ESSERS 2 and ESSERS 3 funds are various upgrades to buildings specifically related to indoor air quality. specifically related to HVAC upgrades in terms of actual hardware, in terms of controls, in terms of a myriad of other items associated with that. Specifically, the two projects being considered, University Park and Evergreen Elementary, looking at heating and air quality improvement and ionization, and building automated systems, which would allow the facilities director to actually control and monitor those new systems. With these two projects in conjunction with the Gateway Middle School project, we would be able to have every building throughout the district moving forward have air conditioning. So again, one of the few good things coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic is the availability of these ESSER 2 and 3 funds to be able to make these types of improvements, again, directly benefiting all of our students and staff members who are in these buildings each and every day. Next slide. And again, as I mentioned previously, Gateway Middle School, ESSER 2 and 3, heating and air quality improvement and ionization, building automation systems, asbestos abatement, doors, windows. All these items are permissible types of expenditures under the ESSER's programs, and they will all be evaluated in conjunction with the bids and in terms of the amount of bonds to be issued. There are a lot of moving pieces between issuance of bonds and these funds, and being able to maximize all of these items that are at the district's disposal, and all coming together at a very good time where we are in this entire process, not only looking at the various renovations of Gateway Middle School, but also being able to utilize the funds for other projects that would not be considered at this particular point in time due to the Gateway Middle School project. So again, coming together at a very opportune time for the district to be able to maximize and to be able to do several other updates as well. Next slide. As far as what's being also looked at, and this has been looked at for a long period of time. 2021 proposed Gateway High School and Marina Stadium and turf replacement. Specifically, looking at it as what is depicted on the screen, our current athletic turf was installed in 2012. This coming athletic sports season will be the 10th year that turf has been utilized. The original cost of that turf $399,539. Looking at in terms of locking into the specific lock-in amounts, proposed cost during 2021 is depicted on the screen. Turf in the amount of $3.77 per square foot. And again, as indicated below that, we know one neighboring school district with the same vendor that is looking at $5.25 per square foot. We've also been told, and Mr. Brown will be able to elaborate a little bit further, is that there's actually even going to be a price increase on top of that amount. So looking at just what that turf would be based on the square footage of the replacement, looking at $310,708. Demo of the existing turf, $40,350. The actual design of that field, $5,500, for a total of $356,558 in order to do the project, which when you look at what was the cost back in 2012, it's amazing what the difference is of approximately $40,000 cheaper 10 years later, almost 10 years later for that. And Mr. Brown, I'm not sure if you'd like to jump in and mention anything else related to that.
All right, at this moment, you're doing fine. You just note that the,
I think he just wanted to not talk for 30 seconds.
We're putting
Doing a great job, Paul.
we call it pre-COVID.
All right, Bob. If there's nothing, then we'll just move on to the next slide.
Here, have to get to the microphone.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
The number that $3.77 number was pre-COVID numbers that we were able to work with Shaw Sports Turf based on volume commitment to them that we've had for many, many years. They want Gateway to have their product. We are their showcase. We are the hub for this whole region. The other neighboring school is way out of the way. Nobody's going to go there to see it. We entertain many school districts to look at their product, and they are showing us their gratitude by holding these numbers for us. Go ahead, Mr. Schott.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Next slide, please. So in conjunction with the returfing of the high school field, we have the 2021 proposed LED light replacement through Musco Lighting, which is the other vendor that is depicted in that exhibit number, let me get back to it, 17. Again, Musco Lighting, $278,606 to basically replace the existing lights that are on the at the stadium with new LED lights. And some of the items that you get with LED lights is instant on and off. There is no warming up as there is with the current lighting system. You know, if there happens to be some type of an issue up there, which we've had occasionally over the years where the lights have gone out, it takes a little bit of time for those lights to come up. With LED lights, it again is instant on and off. So again, it increases the safety of everyone attending any of the events at the stadium. Also, various adjustable levels associated with those LED lights.
Sorry, Paul, Mr. Ritter. I think
Yeah, sometimes it takes about 20 minutes for those mercury lamps to come on. With a football game, soccer game, something like that, a band, you just can't have people sitting in the dark for 15 minutes until the full brightness comes up. So I understand what you're talking about there, Paul.
Anybody remember the movie Arthur? When they're looking at the apartment, and one of the selling points was IOL in every room. It was instant on lighting. It just made me think of that.
And just recently, last year, and Mr. Brown can talk about this, when a bulb or lamp goes out at the stadium, which is happening more frequently with the age of the lights that we have, Bob has to kind of manage, engage when the proper time is to bring in a technician, someone who's certified to climb the pole, get up in there and replace the light. You want to talk briefly about that, Nicholas?
I'm sure that everybody here has been to the stadium and has witnessed the degradation of our lighting. It is poor at best. And as Dr. Short was saying, when one of those bulbs goes out is one thing. When 5 of them go out, it creates dark spots. It is terrible in comparison to all of the folks today that have gotten to the LED lights. There's other things that are actually in our benefit. There's zero light pollution, which means that light does not spill onto the neighbors in their yards. So you don't hear complaints to the township about that. Being LED, they are about 60% less in cost to run. And with the warranties that are given, they know when there's a problem with the light fixture before we know there's a problem with the light fixture.
25-year warranty?
Well, on the stadium, since the poles are existing and they're not theirs, the stadium would be 10 years, labor and materials. The other ones we're going to talk about are 25-year because their poles would be involved.
Will you be able to operate these with a cell phone?
Yes, you would. You know, there is, we would also be able to adjust, for instance, graduation time. We have security lights. We don't have to rewire all the lights to only have a couple come on. We can program them right from our computer or our phone. So we're able to adjust all that without getting off the ground.
You mentioned about light pollution for the neighbors. It just made me think of something that, travel up and down the river boulevard a lot. And certain nights when you come up that hill, there's a certain angle that our stadium lights can
That's right.
blind you almost coming up that road. Is this gonna maybe alleviate some of that?
That would alleviate all of that. We actually have to add a few lights down lower on the poles for the walkways. Because all that light that now shines around the press box and those areas won't be there.
The transformation that you would see with the LED lighting is so significant that it's worth taking a visit to a neighboring school that has it. If anyone would be interested, we can do that because it is very substantial. It's so clear. There are zero shadows, and it really enhances not only the activity that's taking place on the field, but also for protection of our visitors, our fans, et cetera.
Mr. Brown, we no longer have a person that has to wear a suit and big rubber gloves to throw the switch.
No.
You can wear that outfit too.
Fortunately, no, we don't have to do that. But it's still a lot of voltage that's up there. It's an awful lot of voltage. So what we would be using, the LED lights, it's minimal in comparison.
At one time, though, we did.
We did. It was, the old transformers that were in the garage were very dangerous. And nobody wanted to do it.
So this would also be a safety.
It is a safety aspect of it. And the other thing is we don't realize it because those lights dim over time from the first day you turn them on. Our light levels on that stadium are below 30 foot candles. The ideal, even for TV, is 50 foot candles, which is what's proposed here. So it's going to appear so much brighter than what you normally would see. And that in itself is going to make a world of difference. And we get the folks that come to our games, the visiting teams, they comment on how poor that light quality is right now.
Did you mention something right before, I guess, the warranty runs out, they come in and replace the bulbs?
I'm sorry.
When the warranty is close to ending, they come in and replace the bulbs?
Actually, Mr. Williams mentioned that, but that was pre-LED. That is metal halide, which what we have. Pitcairn Field has Musco lighting, and Mr. Williams can attest that how good they are as a company that stands behind us, behind you. They came in and re-lamped their entire field. Now, LEDs are a whole different animal that you just don't have to.
Yeah, Musco, we had ours installed in 2001. We had a 10-year warranty at the time. Never had to go up a pole. Over 10 years, I think we only had 3 lights go out. At the end of our warranty, they come in and replace all the lights, whether they're burnt out or not. And Musco is also on a lot of colleges, NFL, Major League Baseball, Daytona 500. They're the lights that you want.
We have also looked into other lights, just so everybody here is aware. There is a company from the Midwest that has moved into this area that is a large competitor of Musco. Similar warranty, but not quite the same. I got the numbers from them. Their closest number is roughly $65,000 more for this field. And you can see their lights that Plum had them installed. They are a strange looking light. They look like a Dairy Queen snow cone. They are very odd shaped, just nothing you're used to seeing. But they were the next closest, to be able to handle these jobs. And it was $342,000.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, Paul.
All right, next slide, please.
Are we lost?
I'm here. All right. Our next project that's been looked at is the 2021 proposed baseball and softball turf project. Again, as depicted on the screen, full artificial turf of the area, again, at the $3.77 square foot amount that would be locked in through Shaw sports turf in the amount of $957,644. So not only related to the actual turf, one of the main aspects that has to be done up on that field is the excavation process. That would be in the amount of $830,660. And as previously mentioned, we do have some existing lights up there. All those lights in the light poles would be replaced with 9 poles and new LED lights in the amount of $596,196. There'd be geotechnical analysis that would be required as a part of the project in the amount of $10,000, and also the related design fees for the field in the amount of $38,815 for a total amount of $2,433,315. And Mr. Brown will be able to elaborate a little bit more in terms of plans related to the excavation of that area.
What we are looking at with this area, and Mr. Williams has been very involved in the baseball over the years, knows how poorly our fields drain. We also know that beginning of March is not the greatest time to have baseball and softball. We are fortunate to get 50% usage during that time of the year. So by doing this, we are creating an area that our kids are able to be out there every day that's not pouring down raining, lightning storm. We don't have to worry about mud. I don't have to worry about taking my entire staff up to the field to prepare it for a game only to have it rain at 2 o'clock. And that goes on constantly during this time of year. We have games scheduled this week we won't get in. We moved them from tomorrow to today to get them in. So these are things that we really look at to try to utilize that area as best as possible. And this coming year, moving the 7th and 8th grade to Moss-Side Middle, we will go from 4 teams trying to utilize those 2 fields to 6. We have baseball and softball from the middle school. Those fields would be shut down. They would also have to share these fields. So by doing this, we would be able to get all 6 teams on there with some creative scheduling. Also, what we were able to look at.
If I could just interject here that when you look at the surrounding area, eastern Allegheny County, even in the Westmoreland County, many school districts already have the artificial turf baseball and softball fields, essentially for the need to play the games on a surface that can be played on with rain. Woodland Hills, Plum just finished their full softball and full baseball. Norwood, Penn Trafford, West Mifflin, you go out there, a beautiful complex, full turf. And these fields have been in place for multiple years. And we find our teams sometimes having to go and travel to play our home games on their turf fields. So one of the questions that was asked to me by a parent, why not our kids?
Or you have to play 5 games in a week before the season ends to determine where you're at in the playoffs.
Coupled with this project, and I know Bob's going to talk about this. Next slide.
The next slide, please, Bonnie.
Yes.
That is our student parking lot and library field. One of the things along with the baseball and softball complex, there's excavation and there's dirt that has to be removed. By not hauling it off of our campus, it is a savings of about $150,000 of truck time, dump fees, where we propose to put it into the library field, create a band practice area that is very much needed. Right at the moment, they practice in the student parking lot. It is sloped, it is dangerous. We hold soccer games, kids' instruments get run over.
Tennis matches.
tennis matches. So there's traffic going on up there all the time. And these kids are trying to practice, so they're not focused on traffic whatsoever. We propose to put all that dirt in there, raise that as much as the dirt would allow, create a band practice area that would be striped with the football lines, and have event parking overflow, which graduation, they're parked everywhere in the grass, everywhere you can imagine, along as well as football games, open houses. So, and with the additional staff that we have coming to Mosside Middle School, it gives us that many more parking spaces to utilize. But primarily, it gives the band a safe and secure area to practice in without having to worry about instruments or children getting run over.
Bringing their equipment down.
We are
crossing the road.
proposing to put a flashing light at the bottom of that ramp that we control. We own that road. So that would be something that, you know, we would use not only for band, but we would also use it during events to shuffle people across. So, and then they rent a lift every year. If you're ever up in that parking lot, they spend $2,000 every summer to have a scissors lift so they can perform their, you know, their routines and be able to see it. We're proposing to have a tower for them. So this way, you know, they don't have to rent it anymore and take money out of their boosters funds. And that's who pays for that. Fortunately, the district doesn't, but those folks raise that money and it goes to renting a lift versus going to the kids.
Next slide, Paul.
Next.
And this would be the 2022 year proposed additional renovations to the fields at Gateway Middle School. And you could see vaguely the appearance of the football field, track, and baseball field, and substandard is the word that I would use for those two facilities. The track, and Bob's been over there.
Oh yeah, the track is way past its lifespan.
Over 20 years old.
Yeah, and we have some roots growing under it. There's primarily the base is sound, but the track is very old and it's shot. The football field / soccer field gets an amazing amount of usage. Not only our middle school football teams, but we also have 2 soccer teams over there, St. Bernadette's or Divine Mercy. They use our field over there for their soccer practice and their games. It's very difficult to keep grass on that field at any time. And if you have a very hot, dry summer, it's kind of like the old days. You're playing in mud and dirt. We just can't keep it on there. They just wear it right off. The baseball field as well, that's something that by turfing this, we would be able to get more and more usage out of it. And we would also recommend reorientating the infield correctly so the sun is not in the batter's eye when they're playing. Our games are played at 4 in the afternoon. The sun comes right across those trees into the batter's eyes, and along as well as the first baseman. It's when they did it, they positioned the field for parking and spectators versus the way the field should be set.
And for those of you who have parked over there and you see the parking lot, and we have staff that spends time after school working on lesson plans, grading, tutoring, whatever. The foul balls that obstruct the vehicles, as you can tell, in that parking lot.
Yeah, from the other corner, it takes a pretty healthy shot.
Well, you're going to get a couple home runs. You're not going to get a lot of foul balls.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown, is this going to include a softball field?
There is, we have included one with, since they play at a different time of the year from football and soccer. Football and soccer play in the fall. We have included a softball field within the football field, and it included a portable backstop. So that would also be on turf in the springtime. So we will have that and then fulfill our Title IX requirements, which we've never done over there. We've bused them to the high school on our little phys ed field.
And just to follow up with the letter of interest, or the letter of intent, I should say.
Yes, and that's what we were talking about, the letter of intent, and Mr. Schott went through it. It does not lock us into any financial responsibility. What it does is it locks in our price. And we've had numerous conversations with Shaw Sports and Musco, knowing that everything hinges on our middle school project. That is the key to all of this. So we are grateful to those folks for stepping up. And I'm not sure, Mr. Schott, in the stadium pricing, did you by chance include the additional discount from Shaw Sports to do the stadium this year, early summer versus after football season?
No, I don't believe that we did include that. I think when we calculate out, we used it per square foot, $3.77.
Shaw Sports really wants us to have their product available to be seen by everybody else this fall. The only other one is the neighbor that you saw that would have that same product. They would like us to have it. They stepped up and offered an additional $17,000 discount to do it early summer, so it would be in use for the football season. That project takes about 3 to 4 weeks, the entire project with lights and turf. So, that, again, they didn't have to do that, but they value Gateway, and they stepped up and showed that.
It's the value of being right off the parkway and right off the turnpike.
Yes, it is. So with that letter of intent, what that does, if we would push these projects down the road a little bit, and the additional increase that they're going to incur due to the petroleum and the storms in Texas, and that's where the petroleum comes from, they are going to have a 17% increase on top of our neighbors' numbers. So it actually ended up at $5.83 a square foot versus the $3.77 a square foot that we locked in or can lock in. So that would result with these projects that we're talking about, $1,291,290 savings versus waiting a year and doing it. We would pay that much more for the same amount.
Well, and obviously it's not, the finally, the letter of intent, if we approve this now and then 6 months from now, we go, hey, never mind, what's the penalty?
None.
None?
None.
Okay.
None. We know there's some that we have, the stadium needs to be done. It's 10 years old.
Right.
That's gonna have to happen. We are in a position now to move forward with the others and save a lot of money.
And again, everything hinges upon the bids coming in from the middle school project. Once we are able to analyze those, get those out to the board next week, we'll be able to make decisions on if any of these projects would move forward.
And that's what was going to be my next question.
Yes.
Is we're seeing a lot of large numbers.
Yes,
flashing by
everything's
here.
contingent
But
upon.
this is all included in the bond.
Correct.
This isn't the up to 50 million plus.
No,
all of
this
that.
is all on the bond. And just,
I just think that needs to be
yeah,
clarified.
just a
Some of
reference.
the alarming numbers flying by.
Plum School District recently completed a returfing of their football field, full artificial turf baseball and softball field, and it was rolled into their $15 million bond from a couple years ago where they redid, I think, O Block Elementary. So essentially what they did is what we're doing. Yeah,
Same thing.
Same company, yeah.
And Mr. Shaw, could you elaborate a little further on the ESSERS 2 and 3 monies and how that might affect our project and moving dollars around as well?
Yeah, and again, as has been stated numerous times, until we open these bids on Thursday, we're unfortunately at a little bit of a standstill to be able to analyze what we can and can't do. But again, in terms of looking at the Gateway Middle School project, big items that we know will be associated with the project in terms of asbestos abatement. That'll be a larger amount of money that'll be required as part of the renovation project. Potentially things along the lines of the HVAC or components of it, windows, doors, new doors. All those items are permissible items under both ESSER 2 and ESSER 3. So again, not only having the bonds available, but also being able to maybe shuffle around some items depending on where all the total amounts fall in line at with the ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 funds is a good situation for the district.
And for the public to understand that 20% of that must be designated for the learning loss that can cover additional 2 years after next year, so 3-year total.
That's correct. And actually, just a little bit more information just to share in terms of, again, we're talking about ESSER 2, ESSER 3, exactly how much is that? ESSER 2 funds are in the amount of $2,948,213. ESSER 3 funds in the amount of $5,967,682, or a grand total of $8,915,895. And as Dr. Short previously stated, in terms of ESSER 3, the 20% loss of learning, calculating that amount out of the ESSER 3 funds, that comes to $1,193,536. So again, in terms of what would remain out of the $8.9 million number would be approximately $7,722,358 available for, again, not only, and I'll throw this out there, it's not only capital projects, there are other items as well. And again, other items that once we have all the bid numbers, we will be evaluating also in terms of other aspects of our 21-22 general fund budget and what we can and can't do, and what we can incorporate, and be able to see what we can do at the end of the day, and get the most bang for our bucks, not only the bonds but also the ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 funds, and do the most we can for our schools and our students, most importantly.
And again, the timing is critical here because of the release of the stimulus money, the bond market. And last week at the council meeting, we had Mr. Hughes from the municipality release numbers from bids for paving and various projects in Monroeville. And he noted that the construction business, people are hungry coming out of COVID. Their bids came in probably $200,000 less than what they had planned for. So we are hoping that once our bids come in, that this will be reflected in those prices. And then if that comes, the other items that we discussed today would enhance our capabilities if the board chooses to proceed with some of these projects.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Obviously item 12, there's a lot of TBDs, and you discussed about the bid process opens Thursday, correct?
That is correct, sir.
Just roughly, and obviously we've been here for a long time, I don't want to get deep into a discussion on it, but just quickly, how long does that process take? When do you think you'll have the numbers and names to fill this out? And how much time does that give us before we vote for the public to digest?
Well, once we open the bids, again, the bid opening is at 11 a.m. this Thursday, the 22nd. Once we go through and open all those bids, and we are expecting to have a large number of contractors putting in for this project, because again, this is a tremendous opportunity for them to put their crews to work for 2 years over the span of that. But once we've opened up those bids, we will be sitting down our group here in the boardroom, and we'll be tabulating, going through all the various options associated with those items, and coming up with not only who would be the lowest awarded contractor for each of the 15 prime contracts as listed, but also what the corresponding bid amounts would be in terms of any adds, deducts. It's going to be an extensive process. We hope to be able to have something ideally on Friday to be able to go in and update the resolution with all that actual amounts. I think that's our goal at this particular point in time. That's kind of where we're at.
Okay, so that's pretty quick. It's fairly impressive. You know, 'cause this is a very large number we're approving, and I just want to make sure that when we do get those numbers and we get these filled out, we need to make sure that we are aggressively getting this out to the public, to the board, and to everybody that wants to see it. So we keep everybody informed. We have as much time as possible to review it and give us feedback before the vote on Tuesday.
That's correct. And as I stated before, and as listed in here, I mean, these 15 prime contracts are in addition to the other expenditures in terms of professional services and other related items to the project. So those are some other areas that, you know, once we've gone through the 15 prime contracts, we're sitting down, making sure, you know, do we have everything in terms of coming up with a total cost of the project? And that's very important as well. We don't want to miss anything for that. So again, yes, it's a very important process, and to be able to get to that point to say it's X number of dollars in order to renovate the Gateway Middle School. And then again, as we discussed previously, you know, what other projects can we do in relation to that project? You know, when we factor in things like the bonds, and we factor in, you know, what can and can't be utilized from the ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 funds. So again, a lot of moving parts for this as well. And again, they have significant implications for our 21-22 general fund budget for next year.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Hey, Brian, we just got a quick note in the chat from Kelly. She says, thank you for recognizing the need for a band, practice field, and tower. This will keep our musicians safe. And it is a huge showing of support. Thank you. So you're welcome, Kelly.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, that practice area, and if you want to call it stand, has been discussed, and if you want to say talked about for years, going back to Mr. Reed, Mr. Helchi, and it all comes down to safety and understanding that parking lot is not suitable for our children. So I think the time is right to move forward if we can do so.
Okay. All righty. So after all that, does any board member have any other questions or comments on any item in section F? Okay, I just have one quick one on number 14 with the relocation of the junior high down to Mosside Middle. Just for public to know, what happened to the home ec and tech ed classes that are offered at the junior high?
We would be offering those classes. I do not have the details here in front of me, but the materials would be transferred over from the junior high, or I should say Gateway Middle School, to Mosside Middle School.
Okay, perfect. All righty. Moving on to section G, we have resolutions presented by board members. Tonight we have 3 up for discussion. And the first one, I believe this would be Mrs. Warnings.
Yes, resolution regarding participating school districts, approval to share in the cost associated with repairs or replacement of the roof of the Eastern Area Special Schools building. Whereas Allegheny Valley School District, East Allegheny School District, Gateway School District, Penn Hill School District, Plumboro School District, Riverview School District, Wilkinsburg School District, and Woodland Hill School District, collectively the participating school districts, are parties to a restated jointure agreement providing for, among other things, the creation of Eastern Area Special Schools, a joint school system governed by the combined board of school directors of the participating school districts. And whereas pursuant to the restated jointure agreement, participating school districts have agreed to provide and maintain a facility known as the Sunrise School located at 550 Aura Drive, Monroeville 15146. And whereas the participating school districts recognize that Sunrise School houses an important special education program operated by the Allegheny Intermediate Unit. And whereas the participating school district recognizes the Sunrise School is in significant repair or replacement to its roof, and the current condition of the roof is impacting the educational program provided by the Allegheny Intermediate Unit. And whereas although litigation has been initiated to recover the cost to repair and replace the Sunrise School roof, the participating school districts recognize that such repairs and replacements will need to occur in the near future. And whereas the Eastern Area Special Schools Committee asks that the participating school districts individually approve its prorated commitment to pay for the necessary cost of the repair and replacement of the Sunrise School prior to the finalization of the litigation. Now, therefore, in consideration of the foregoing premises and intending to be legally bound and based upon the 2019-2020 assessment provided by the State Tax Equalization Board, the participating school districts reaffirm their commitment to the respective pro rata portion of the cost to be incurred to repair and to replace the roof of the Sunrise School. The following chart sets forth each of the participating schools' percentage of responsibility in Exhibit A, which is shown up there and what it is. I sent this to our superintendent and business manager. We have been talking about this. Sunrise had a roof put on their school 8 years ago. The roof has since failed. There are 3 companies involved and no one wants to step up and cover the warranty. So we are losing educational area for these students at Sunrise, and it has been put towards to litigation, but in the meantime, something needs to be done. I believe, Bonnie, it's Exhibit A.
Yeah, would you like me to pull the exhibit up? Yes.
Would you put that up in the exhibit? The one that you just showed was the assessment of what each school district is. And the portion of the cost for each school district is as listed. The cost that we had gotten for this roof replacement is $1,800,000, which Gateway's share, because Gateway's percentage assessment value is 23.99% of the percentage of what Sunrise is. Gateway's cost would be $431,774. Yes, we are the highest because of our assessed value in the district. What we're proposing is each of the districts that you see listed, which is part of the jointure, put forward that amount of money to cover the cost, and after litigation, those monies would be reimbursed to the district. Dr. Short is our superintendent of record who has been in contact with the superintendents of the jointure. And I don't know if you want to say anything further.
Yes, we met collectively as a group a couple of weeks ago via Zoom. We all recognize and understand the issue that is facing Sunrise. We all respect the need for a safe and secure facility. There are some leak issues that perhaps are hindering the education of some of the students over there. We have decided that with the efforts of Bob Brown and some of the other maintenance supervisors in other districts, that they will visit Sunrise, do their own inspection based on their experiences with school roofs, and come to a conclusion for the superintendents. Currently, right now, there are 3 entities involved in this process of the roof issue. It's in litigation at this point, and we are hoping to resolve this as best we can. There are some other discussions taking place amongst the group, whether or not one or other entities may decide to pull out of the Sunrise establishment and just house their own students within their own district. It is a specialized instruction, and it's important for everyone to understand. And those kids are very well taken care of. The education is sound over at Sunrise, and we value the program that they offer. It is our hope that we're able to come to an understanding with a resolution. There is also the possibility of districts looking to see if a recently closed building within their district could house the students to move from Sunrise into another building in another district. So it's a lot of moving pieces, and hopefully we'd be able to come to a resolution here soon.
Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
What if there's mold?
That was another thing that we had discussed because,
Would the litigation
yes,
pick that up?
correct.
And who's doing the litigation?
Andrews and Price.
Solicitor for Sunrise and EIU.
They have discussed that. Right now, they have buckets hanging from the ceilings. There's buckets in the hallways. This has been going on. We had, it'll be 2 years December that we had all the superintendents do a walkthrough at Sunrise. There was problems then, and it has increased since because nothing has been done. And it just got to a point that I know discussion has been back and forth with superintendents, but something had to be put in motion.
Or is there children in there?
They're at max right now. There's 132 kids with the waiting list. And that's what the problem is. These students there are very well educated for their needs, and not that our school districts are forgetting about them, but these schools have to be kept up just like Gateway schools, East Allegheny schools, Penn Hill schools. They all have to be. So the jointure is responsible for them. So that's why I hate to say we're putting pressure on the schools, but it's our responsibility to take care of the school.
See, I like that, putting pressure on them, because we've been, pretty patient and pretty flexible and accommodating for a while, but we haven't been able to get moving. So this motion of yours does put some money behind it, and that's a type of pressure. So I'd like to toss this to Mr. Dice. Mr. Dice, let's say this gets approved and the school districts are required to put each of their prorated, pieces into the bucket, and some school districts don't want to do it or just not able to do it, or we're able to get it, done, and then could we is there a legal means by which we could recover from some of the school districts when they're able to pay that back in the future? In other words, it's good that we're trying a little bit of pressure here, but what are some of the legal ramifications and the financial ramifications of the outworkings of this approach?
Well, are you assuming we'll be successful?
I don't know. In other words,
if we're successful,
for pressure may succeed or may fail. I don't know.
If we're successful, there'll be monies returned to each district and some pro rata share, probably very similar to how they put their money in. There's going to be a document at some point, I would think, that will memorialize exactly what the understanding is on the roof and who's going to participate, who isn't. When they raised the question of removing themselves from the plan, I'd have to take a look at it. I'm not sure you can just willy-nilly remove your school district from the agreement that you struck. So that might spur another level of litigation. Right now, I don't think anybody said we're not going to participate. If you're successful, I think you could, in fact, recover a sizable sum or all of your investment. But then you have to, I don't know how much money these contractors have, the three contractors.
If we put pressure on them and they're just
Well,
simply not able to
here's what
respond,
happens.
yeah.
You sue them and you win.
They may not have any money.
And they
They go bankrupt. So, I mean, that can happen too. I mean, there's no pretty story here.
But in the meantime, the place needs a new roof.
Oh, yeah, I think,
Is the bottom line.
and this serves
I have a
a
question.
very valuable purpose in the community.
Who actually owns the building? Are we, who does?
State schools.
So we own, if, say, the property was sold and the school closed someday and it was sold, we would get a percentage of that. We're literally a percentage owner. Okay.
And I would probably guess that the property would be valued more than the building itself based on condition and also location. Sits up behind Levin's.
University Park.
Yeah.
So I like this now. This is aggressive. I like being aggressive at this stage of the, our patience has worn thin and we want to do something. So I don't know that this is going to succeed or fail, but I think it's worth a try.
Well, John, you had asked participating schools, and the reason why this came up now is because of the ESSER funds. We were hoping, I know Mr. Schott come in and talk to Dr. Short, that possibly the school districts receiving this money could use some of that money to be put
Bingo.
towards.
I mean, that's from out of the
That's-
blue. Sure, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why this
like
has
that.
been abruptly done. All right, thank you.
Good job.
All right, anybody have any questions on the first board resolution? Okay. Seeing none, we're going to move on to resolution number 2. This one is from Mr. McIntyre.
Thank you, Brian. Whereas the Gateway School District is committed to equity as it is essential in fulfilling the mission statement of the district. And whereas the well-established achievement gap is one of many hurdles on the path to equity. And whereas the current pandemic has had a profound effect on the achievement of all Gateway students, it is our obligation to ensure that the gains made in recent years towards closing the achievement gap are not lost, or even worse, that gap widened as a result of this pandemic. Therefore, let it be resolved, and I'm going to just quickly pause. At the request of Mrs. Delaney, I'm going to change the date, if it's okay with you, Mr. Gottman, on when actually we would vote on this. She suggested holding the vote on this until after the equity town hall. So that it could, we have a little bit more time and discussion. It doesn't cloud things up for that discussion. So this would be for like the
May study session?
May study session, which was the 18th, but whatever we're moving that to.
We'll get the date.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
So therefore, let it be resolved on the to be announced date that the Gateway Board of School Directors directs the superintendent's office to create a full-time equity director position within central administration and hire a qualified candidate to a 4-year contract.
All right, do you have any questions, comments on resolution number 2?
Well, like a ton, but is it appropriate to just table it until after the equity meeting? Because I hate to get into this huge, long discussion when a lot of the questions that I have now could be answered at the meeting.
That's why we're not going to vote on it.
Right, so I said, should we just table it?
What's that?
Should we just table it until May?
I think it's not.
I don't think there's any need to table it. We're not going to vote on it until then anyway.
Well, then I'm going to have discussion on it if it's not tabled. And I just want to be redundant.
Well,
I have a ton of questions because you kind of threw this at us out of the blue. I have a lot of questions.
I think I understand, the nature of your question is, a lot of your questions could be answered at the 29th presentation.
Right.
And then we come back for study session, put it on, not for an action item, or to vote on it in the May regular board meeting. Is that correct?
I was thinking of study session.
Following week.
Okay.
So are we going to have time to discuss it before it's an action item? Are we going to have 2 more meetings?
No, we'll have the meeting where we vote on it and the equity meeting. So if you want to push it to the regular board meeting, I'm fine with that as well.
All right, so.
I'm not trying to rush anything through. I'm trying to get it out there and so we can discuss and we can get feedback, we can have questions. Just
So let
trying
me
to
offer 1 or 2
increase
alternatives.
transparency.
If there are some questions that have already been thought through that could be tossed out, would you be willing, would any of us who have these questions be willing to dump them into some sort of a document for us to all peruse and think through?
Yeah,
That's not a bad
that's fine.
idea.
The 29th would be the presentation. Does anybody have a calendar with May meeting? May 11th, it would be put on a study session. May 18th, 19th will be the regular voting meeting.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
fine with that.
I'm
So
against
the-
my suggestion because we had a committee meeting here, Achievement Gap Committee mission. It came out and they produced a booklet and I put tabs and I emptied a red fountain pen with all the questions I had about, origin of data and definitions and does A equal and follow logically B? All those questions I loaded into. And I don't know that the school board has had a chance yet to go through and answer any of my questions, because I will say out loud, I don't understand equity. When people say equity, I've heard the definitions given many, many times by the experts, and I still say, I don't understand what they mean when they say it. I know they understand what they mean when they say it, but I wrote out my questions here in this book, and it's agony to read. So what do you want to do with my questions?
I think that's probably a good
After the
format for
presentation,
the equity.
we can have the questions maybe dumped into a repository where we're able to address those. And
In other words, I think we can address a lot of your questions at the equity
It would help
committee,
me.
the town hall.
Was there some meetings that I wasn't part of about this motion?
Sorry?
Was there did you have a meeting to discuss a full-time equity director that I'm not aware of? Or is this just kind of out of the blue that you put this on the
I've
agenda?
spoken with some board members, yes.
Okay, so have you spoken to Dr. Short or Dennis Jakey or Rossi about this? Or is this just a board?
It's a board resolution.
So you've
The
spoken
point is that
to,
I'm presented it to the administration tonight.
okay,
We
I'm
have
just,
the opportunity to go through with the equity committee and hash everything out and see if this is viable and if it would assist in achieving the goals that Dr. Short and I both share. I think we're all on the same page here that we're striving for equity. I think we
all are,
may
yeah.
agree or disagree on the best way about that, but I think we can work that out between now and the 19th of next month.
Rick, have you sat in on any of the equity meetings that Dr. Chakey has held with the committee by chance?
No.
Okay. I'm just speaking that I have been present at some of these meetings. When I heard this was coming out, I reached out to a couple of the, what do you want to say, committee members of the equity team. And right now, what they had responded to me, that it's a good idea, but is now the time to do it with everything that's going on. Really, what are we looking for? What is the job description? What is going to come out of this? So I think there needs to be a lot more planning, for this actually to happen. I did ask Mrs. Crump to look to see in surrounding school districts, the equity directors that they have at other school districts, what their job entails, just to get a little bit more information, because I know we tried an equity director here before, and I'm just going to speak. I don't know if Dr. Short wants to say anything. I don't know if there was anything that was really accomplished with that equity director that we had. So I think if we would take this to the equity committee, Dr. Chakey, I personally think he's been doing a phenomenal job, with what he's with what he has done for the district. I think we might get some more answers out of that.
And just quickly, just something I definitely wanted to say was, I agree with you. I think Dr. Chakey's done a fantastic job, and I think has actually exceeded my expectations in his role within equity within the district. And my proposal here is in absolutely no way a critique of Dr. Chakey's performance or anything. And to speak to the why now, is this a good time for it? I think coming out of the pandemic, we're experiencing learning loss at an unprecedented level for a year, and it's going to take multiple years to recover. And with Dr. Chakey, as good of a job as he's doing, it's one of many hats that we're asking him to wear. And I think we put a big hat on him for the last year, also being in charge of the entire pandemic response, that whole unit. And again, he's done a fantastic job there. I think that we have spent the last couple of years, I think even, weren't all completely satisfied with the part-time equity director. I think it started us on the right path. I think Dr. Chakey has helped us to get some more strides and move in the right direction. I think that finding somebody that can dedicate full time to this issue it's handing the baton off and somebody to just carry it over the finish line. And hopefully in 4 years, we're going to be looking at, solid ground to be more self-sustaining. And then we can go back to, having a current administrator maybe maintaining the program.
Is there any issues with Dr. Chakey that we're not aware of with his workload?
No, he's done a tremendous job. I think we've all chimed in and been part of recent professional development opportunities, especially the intermediate unit. And it's to be noted that they recently hired an equity director to oversee all the school districts in Allegheny County IU.
That equity director?
Yes, that's part of the plan.
So is the equity committee come forward and ask for a change of the plan of direction?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Dr. Chakey?
No, and if I can interject. in
Yes,
here,
please.
A couple of things. When Rick did discuss this with me as well, and I also reached out to Dr. Chakey, letting him know and commending him on the tremendous job that he's done thus far. I look at the fact too, he's wearing many hats. He's doing, and the pandemic didn't help in terms of what he was required to do. So I personally feel, yes, it is time that we do look at a full-time equity director. And I mentioned also to Rick that if, because I'm on several equity committees, and Pitt has a wonderful program on diversity and equity. And the term that is being used more now.
I apologize. I didn't mean to change that.
Opportunity gap. So start, if you're not familiar with that term being used, John, start to look up the term opportunity gap. When I have gone to various conferences and workshops, that is the more of the trend. That's
I
the
like
more
that. The
recent
first
term.
2/3 of this book go into equity, and the last 1/3 of it goes into opportunity. So I
Okay.
really.
Yeah, in case you hadn't.
I do.
But
Yeah.
as I said, I think with funds coming out, I think when I asked Rick why now or this time, he would like to see something in place by the fall, as again, because we've lost so much ground in terms of the pandemic and funds readily available right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but this will be a question
I think
for
that
Mr.
was
Schott.
his reason.
If we do go this way, I think at least some of this money can qualify for the ESSER 3 because it is directly dealing with remediation.
We don't have a full evaluation of where our kids are and with the demographics, the socioeconomic, all that stuff of the kids that are behind yet. We don't even have that data, correct?
That's correct.
So Mrs. Delaney, did you say that you do agree or you don't agree that Dr. Chakey has done a good job with this
Oh, no,
role?
I said he definitely has. I said, I think that he, with his other responsibilities that he has on him to do, I don't feel that it is fair to have him work in that capacity because of so many other responsibilities that he has.
So what other responsibilities does he have that you would think maybe you can't answer, maybe Dr. Short needs to answer, that aren't getting done to our satisfaction?
I think he's doing exemplary work in one of his areas, including supervision, pandemic coordinator.
So he wears many hats, but you're saying he's doing all of
But
those
he could be
jobs.
further along, is what I guess I'm saying.
Correct me
Let
if I'm
put it
wrong.
that way.
but
I'm just
you
not
at no
understanding.
point intimated that he is not fulfilling any of
Oh,
Well, I'm just
no.
trying to
Oh,
understand.
no, no, no.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Just
so
want to make
you,
that clear.
okay, so you
No.
both think he's doing a fantastic job, but we want to look at replacing his job.
Not
No.
replacing
I think
his
that-
job.
I'm not understanding, just help
I
me
think that
understand.
it's not replacing someone or their job. It's being able to have somebody that can be invested 100% on things. So it's not saying that something isn't being done. It's saying we can do much better with 100% effort by one person.
So he's doing everything he needs to do, but we could do more.
Right, yeah.
He's
Thank
doing
you.
all that he can do based on everything else he has.
That
to
helps,
do.
thank you.
And wouldn't it be fair if we just give it an opportunity to look at it and see what the possibilities are, see how it could possibly help our students?
Yeah, I'm totally open to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I ask a question too?
Sure.
Mrs. Crump? Mrs. Crump?
Takes her a minute. Is she gone?
She might be gone.
No, I'm here.
There she is.
Okay, I just wondered, do you have a job description? Or are you working on one, the one that we had for Dr. Woods? Would that have to be, have to be updated? I mean, if we, vote on this and put this out, how will you go about the credentials that's going to be needed?
Those are all things that would need to be determined based on what the board is looking for. At the time we did the previous equity director, that was for a part-time position, and the criteria and the job description was based on that. If this is going to be a full-time position, we do need to look at what we want this person to do and write the job description to reflect that.
Okay, thank you.
I think that, again, that we have an opportunity with the equity committee meeting to hash out some of that. And, if we move forward, I think we can all work on with administration and coming up with a good plan to help Gateway succeed in this way.
There you go. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the final board resolution number 3. This one is from Mrs. Rucci.
So we have had a lot of discussion tonight about how our kids are suffering through a year of remote learning and COVID and on and off again, and depression and anxiety and mental health issues. And with the last recent grading period, it came to my attention that we have more than normal kids that have now been suspended from grades, purposes of GPAs, from extracurricular activities. And, I've always supported our strong, rigorous academic standards at Gateway. We've had previous conversations when many of you weren't on the board about changing those standards, and I never supported lowering those standards. But at this point, my understanding, and Dr. Shore can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that generally speaking, through the pandemic, the kids that perform well in school are still performing well. But the kids that perform average and below average have shifted farther south, farther to the left on that bar graph. They're doing worse. So the kids that are doing bad are doing so bad right now that I don't know that there's much hope for recovery for them. So my motion here really is to suspend our eligibility requirements, gateways, which supersede like the PIAA requirements for the end of the school year, to give those kids that still are within the area of passing by the PIAA a chance to play. There are kids that I've been told that aren't showing up for class at all. They're not trying, they're not turning in work. I'm not making excuses for those kids because you know what, they're not going to meet the PIAA requirements either. But if we can give a couple of kids a fighting chance through this pandemic to do something that provides stress, anxiety relief to them, physical fitness, health issues, the mental health issues, I am inclined to try to do that. And that's why I came up with this motion, and I would present it to you guys for discussion.
Do you need a second on that?
No, these are just for discussion.
Item for discussion.
Well, then let me toss over some discussion items. I'm not really happy with the word suspend, but let me offer this: augment, extend, tailor, or supplement. In other words, the goal isn't to give them some sort of a free pass.
Right.
So you're not doing your studies. Guess what? You don't have to do any more studies. So if we could come up with something that causes them to supplement, in other words, give them more oversight or more help, in addition to the things that they're unable to do, if we could augment that somehow with some sort of a administrative or some other protocol that would cause them to say, all right, I had given up on my studies or I was falling behind, but now I see that there's this one item that I could grab onto that could keep me playing my sports or keep me going to the robotics chess club or whatever the thing is. They get to stay engaged, they get to be with their friends, and they still are under the gun to try to keep their grades.
It's important that we recognize and understand that the PIAA guidance, meaning policy on this, is in effect, meaning we can't change or override that.
Right.
And that has to be clear within this.
Yeah, this would be a temporary,
COVID.
a temporary resorting back to
Override.
just going with the PIAA.
PIAA policy.
Could we just knock on the PIAA's doors and say, listen, the folks at the Gateway School Board have a question and we would like to make a suggestion? That you
No,
do
we're not
this?"
trying to
they will
change
not
the
have-
PIAA standards. So
Ours
our
is 3.0. Ours
standards,
is what?
our standards
3.0.
are more,
Or 2.5?
yeah, a 2.0. They're more strict than PIAA.
Yeah, but
It's much.
We're all talking at the same time, I know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they will not,
We can't, I'm kind of suggesting we go with the PIAA standards right now instead of our own.
Oh, okay.
That's really what I'm trying to say.
I buy that.
Could we say that then?
Yeah.
Instead of suspending ours?
Yeah, suspending, yeah,
PIAA.
yeah, that would be better wording.
through the remainder of the school year.
Just for the remainder
And
of the
I think
school
it's
year.
important, the board chooses to do this, that we also have in there, beginning with the summer, because there is summer school and the grades are impacted there. We revert back to policy number. blank, blank,
I
blank.
like that, yeah.
Yeah.
You're in support of this?
Opportunity gap.
Or we can hold off on your answer
Can-
until next week.
I need to run some numbers to analyze where we're at, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it needs some, I just threw in the fact that we're going to do some sort of extra operational thing that's going to support these kids, but we don't know what that thing could be yet, so
Could
you've
be
got
that
to brainstorm
opportunity
that.
gap that we're gonna work on. These are kids that are suffering through the pandemic, and clearly they are.
Right.
Right. I think it's a
All the
good- I
kids
think
are
it's a good
suffering.
discussion
That's what I'm
to-
saying. Like,
To try and.
COVID knows no,
That's why it's opportunity, it includes
COVID
everybody.
knows no boundaries.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
sitting here with 6 weeks left. So,
Right, and we finally get things going, and my fear is that we have some kids that are just, gotten a punch in the stomach
yeah,
again.
we'll
and
run
hope
numbers.
gone
We'll find out
again,
who's
and-
impacted by this, not only for athletics, but all activities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just one, one objection would be possibly, what do we tell a kid that missed 3 games of football this fall? Because we were holding to our current policy, but we're gonna allow.
Right, but it's also
the
been a
same
long,
year.
it's been a long time. The kids that are playing now have gone through a longer stress period than the fall sports, is my point. We're coming down the home stretch, and we've got a lot of mental health issues. Our grades are worse now than they were in the fall.
Yeah, I think.
We have kids that have GPAs, Rick, below 0.5.
I'm
okay?
not arguing against that.
So I'm just trying to
saying
show
that
you
that's gonna be
it's
some.
a compounding problem that has elongated and worsened through time.
I understand.
I'm just,
And the kilo only for the remainder of the school year.
Right.
So
it's like a
not,
month.
Carrying on. Give these kids an opportunity. They've lost so much.
Yeah, I just kind of threw this together yesterday when some of these things came to light, and just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention for discussion and to you for tweaking. Maybe next week we can
Yeah, we'll adjust some language on this,
adjust it and see if we
present
can
it to
come up with
the
something.
board within the board packet. That way you're able to see it. That also reflects the standard of the PIAA.
Bingo, thank you.
That would be great. Appreciate it.
All right. Okay. So that would be all for our agenda. Really quick, do you have any comments from residents on non-agenda items? No?
Yeah, no one has commented.
Okay. All right then, just for the fact that we've been in the meeting, it's 9:30 and we have half hour left before we're usually done. If it's okay with administration, I would just like to ask if Dr. Short has anything for the administrative report.
Nothing. We've covered a lot tonight.
Gate.
Gotcha. Just for the public to understand that the administration has been working on next year, this fall, recognizing that the need for the GATE program, it's been successful during the 2021 school year. We will be offering a form of the GATE cyber program for the 21-22 school year. More information to follow. If there is a parent, guardian, family member out there that may have a question, please feel free to contact either my office, Dr. Chakey, or Dr. Rossi.
Okay.
Thank you. I apologize.
That's all right.
I asked Dr. Short to at least touch on that because I think a lot of parents that want their kid to be learning remotely next year would love to be in GATE, but aren't sure if it's going to be around and might be peeling off to try to grab the spots in the cyber schools and things like that. So I think it's important to let the public know that we're going to have GATE in some form in the fall.
Okay, good. All right. So thank you, Dr. Short. As for the board reports, again, because of time, I know Mrs. Delaney had a really small thing she wanted to do this evening. Is there any other board member that has a report they'd like to give tonight?
Brian?
Is it I have no thoughts?
Mr. Do you have anything?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, sure, okay. So this is going to take a little bit of pre-planning. That's why I wanted to get it out sooner rather than later. We've got the summer coming up. Kids have been suffering. We all have stated that. So I was thinking that one of the things we could do is create something out of thin air. A summer of fun. Summer of fun. So that would take a bunch of thought leaders to get together in Monroeville, Pitcairn, and say, what can we do for the kids to give them a summer of fun? Free ice cream, you show your Gateway ID card and you get free ice cream during the first week of July or something like that. Or you get free tickets to go to the movies, show your Gateway ID. In other words, come up with about 30 different ideas. Open the swim clubs to kids to have picnics or parties. Do something at the Monroeville Community Park. Hot dogs on the street. I mean, when I lived in a mobile home park, I printed up little coupons, put it on all 200 doors in the mobile home park. Farmer John's beginning summer ice cream social. So all the little kids would come, get them a scoop of ice cream, they'd all get together. What did it cost? Like 20 bucks for ice cream. And every kid in the neighborhood came and dragged their parents together. So it cost almost nothing, but it was a nice idea. We need some folks to come up with things on their street, in their neighborhood, whatever they can piece together. Youth directors, youth pastors, anybody that knows how to deal with kids. Reading to kids, have the older kids read to the younger kids through the library program. I don't know. We need us all, not just the board. The board can't do this. We don't have money for it. But the neighbors in Monroe Pitcairn need to think of fun things for the kids to do to get them together somehow with COVID protocols in place, et cetera, but to make this some sort of a memorable year, because they just been through a summer. It was a horrifying, lonely summer for them. So let's plan some fun things for the kids to do. That's half of it. The other half of it is this needs to be a summer of giving because it's emotionally and mentally healthy to give. So we need to come up with ways that our kids can give, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are my ideas. I'm going to try to put together a small team, ad hoc team of folks who can brainstorm this. I'll report back to us, or maybe I won't report back to us. Maybe people will just roll it out and do it, and that's okay too. You know, we don't need to claim any credit for this. The goal is for all of us to, instead of being frustrated not doing something, to find a way to do something and just try it. It's either going to succeed or fail, but try it on behalf of the kids. If it has something to do with education, fine. If it doesn't, kids just need to have fun, climb things, throw things, dig things, plant things. Have fun being around other people, young and old. So let's just try to do that and to give as well. Okay, so that's part one. Part two is the National Day of Prayer is coming up Thursday, May 6th, 2021 at the Monroeville Community Park Pavilion 4. Starts at 6, singing at 6:30, 7 p.m. prayer for 1 hour. So the question is, do we need to pray? Is there a reason to pray? Is there a God who wants to put his great, warm, helpful hand on our nation, on our school district, on our homes, on our kids? I think he does want to do that. He's a gentleman and wants to be asked. This is one of many opportunities. But the National Day of Prayer is held every year. The president says, let's do it. So let's just do it. May 6th, Pavilion for Monroeville Community Park. Put it on your calendar. That's all I got, Brian.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ritter. Ms. Warning.
I was just gonna ask if we could have a real quick, executive session for personnel reasons. After.
Okay. All right, Mrs. Delaney.
Oh, okay, I'll be very brief, very quickly. But ordinarily, I was going to mention some of the things that did occur and have occurred, and we didn't have a meeting last week, so I'll tell you that. But in April 2nd, World Autism Awareness Day, things that I think are really important that we recognize as educators, and I call us educators because we're part of the board. And then also April 4th was National Librarian Day. And also tomorrow is April 21st, National Kindergarten Day. And tomorrow is also National Administrative Professional Day. And Thursday, of course, is Earth Day, which is very important that we be good stewards of our earth. Now, what we did miss, because I thought we were going to have a meeting last Tuesday, was Be Kind to Lawyers Day on April 13th. So I didn't forget. And because of that, it says Google search best lawyer ever, and it had your name on it.
Just so you know, that's a first.
That's all I got.
All righty. Okay, so with that, can I seek a motion to adjourn?
Motion to move to executive.
Sorry.
Second.
Motion move to executive,
And we won't be coming back.
and then we will not be coming back for any other further discussion. Meeting will be over
Business will be conducted.
after that.
All in favor?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right.